career to new heights with constructive curiosity. Whether it's career coaching, mental performance training, or business management consulting, Constructive Curiosity has the insight to get it right. Visit constructivecuriosity.com to get started today.
Hello and welcome into Talkin Bengals. We are into the off season. January is dragging along as it always does. But you know what? We are here for you all off season long. Your Talkin Bengals crew is going to be bringing you fantastic content, keeping it exciting, and we will go much more off the rails as it continues because it is a long season and a longer off season, and it's just painful. But anyways, got a full cast and crew here tonight. We got everybody with us. Burnsy's looking cool as always. Josh is looking bald as I do usually. I put a hat on tonight. And Nick is consistent. I mean, just the picture of consistency. I mean, wow. Just the effort, I got to applaud it. It's fantastic.
This hoodie and this hat are my two favorite things to wear. And if I can wear it every single podcast, I will.
And he just might do it, folks. We don't know. He just might do it.
I don't know what's going to happen when I wear it out.
You're going to have to you need to buy a whole box full of those and just keep them ready to go.
This hoodie was fairly expensive, so I don't know if I can do that, but we'll try.
It's not in the budget yet. But when we make it big from the last week of our 25% off sale, which is going on still right now, it's the last week of it, get your merch, buy it, enjoy it. Talking Bengals galore everywhere. Season Enterprises on Etsy. Look us up. We got awesome things. Or just go directly to our website and buy stuff, but there's not a sale there. So go to Etsy if you want to get the 25% off. But this week we're looking at the final thoughts on the 2024 season, looking at some cheers and jeers for the entire year, getting into the off-season or end-of-season report card, and then we're going to get out of here because it's the off-season, and we don't want to malinger on things for too long. But going into full season cheers and jeers, I'm going to give it to Burnsy first. Burnsy, what are your cheers and jeers for the entire 2024 season?
Well, my cheer goes to the dynamic duo, and I could probably go terrific trio because goes to Joe, Jamar, and T. And he might even throw a quad out there for Chase Brown because between the four of them, we had a pretty good offensive going.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my cheer. My jeer, it's got to be the front office and their decision-making throughout the entire offseason. I'm not going to get into specifics. It's in general.
I appreciate that. So I'm going to take it before one of these other jerks jumps in on cheers and jeers and takes something I put out there. But anyway, my cheer, and everybody would give a cheer for this. So go ahead. 3 cheers for Joe Burrow. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! And hip, hip, hooray, because I said 3. So there we go. Anyways, Joe Burrow, we've already mentioned how awesome he is. There's going to be an entire show at some point this offseason because we have to fill airtime. That's what we got to do. And Joe Burrow is the best thing. Who doesn't love Joe Burrow if you're a Bengals fan? So I'm not going to belabor it too much, but Joe, you're awesome. That's why you're on more T-shirts from our brand than anybody else on the Bengals. So keep doing what you do, Joe Burrow. We appreciate you. And my jeer, like Burnsy said, front office, but I'll go specific, not signing Jamar Chase. You dummies. That's as nice as I can say it. I want to say other words. Well, you just cost yourself $8 to $12 million a year. Wow. Because you're too stuck up. And I know I supported at first. Players whine too much about money. Well, yeah, but now you're going to be paying them a crap ton more. Anyways, Nick, what do you got?
I'm going to say my cheers. We're just going to talk about the offense. Just look at the most efficient offense in the league. I mean, Joe Burrow at the helm. You fix the guard position, and you have literally the best offense in the league. If we find a way to keep Jamar, Joe, and T in Cincy, I think it's pretty safe to say that I think next year we can see and foretell about the same kind of offense. Jeers, I'm going to go with the defense, and I'll get into it a little bit later. That's my take on our grades, but essentially, it took 3/4 of the season before they actually came up and did something. I mean, come on. We need you at the beginning of the season too.
Yeah, you got to play the whole time. Josh?
Cheers. it's pretty unanimous. It's going to be Joe Burrow. And then surrounding cast. Whoever he puts around him, they're going to be good. Great depends on the player. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they're both great. But everybody else, like Yoshi had some very crucial catches in this season. He had some not as great plays, but he had some very good plays. Chase Brown, he showed up as a standout running back. And then my Jeer kind of follows the same route as Nick, defense, but I'm going to go more defensive scheme. The whole scheme of the defense in the first half of the season was expecting your players who were not as skilled, not as talented, not as athletic, to still be the 2021 Bengals defense. This isn't the same defense that led the Bengals to the Super Bowl. And that's the reason why Lou Anarumo got fired. He didn't know how to scheme. All he knew was how to call plays. Not go around the players he had, but come up with plays to be like, I think these guys can do it. And that's why he's no longer here.
That is true. Spitting straight facts there. And that's going to move us into our end of season report card. These are going to be our A through F grades. We'll elaborate a little bit. We're going to start off with the offense. So, Burns, what do you think?
My overall grade is going to go to a B-. I could go higher. However, they lose a lot of points because of Frank Pollock and the offensive line, and more specifically, the guard play all year long. We talked about it on a couple weeks ago. Alex Kappa, Volson, Cody Ford played an average season, even though he played 3 different positions at one point. It just wasn't up to par. Like I said last week, I think if Joe stays up for another second and a half to 2 seconds on any given play, that he's not having to run out of the pocket, he's probably throwing for 6,000 yards and maybe even 60 touchdowns. Because that's just how open Jamar got. That's how open T was when he was on the field. Yoshi had big plays. Mike Gesicki had good plays. Can't take away from anybody else. So the only place I could take away a grade would be the offensive guards.
Yeah, that's fair. That is a fair grade. And that's going to move us into the defense, and Nick is going to dissect and destroy the defense. Go ahead.
So I'm going to say it's a solid D at the very most, maybe even a D-. And the old grading scale, 70, 71. Back when a 69 was an F. Really, you play a lot of soft zone, especially early on in the season, allowing for young rookie quarterbacks or just bad quarterbacks to pick you apart, not being able to cover the tight ends, not being able to cover the running back that's coming out of the backfield. Really just terrible. Kind of goes back to what Josh was saying with schemes and scheming with the players that you have as opposed to the talent that you used to have. I mean, let's just take a look at it. I mean, Jermaine Pratt's not covering a wide receiver. Logan Wilson, not going to be able to cover a wide receiver. Maybe a tight end if it's, kind of like anything other than Mike Gesicki. But, I mean, at the very least, you got to have somebody on the tight end coming across the middle. I mean, I remember back in the day, heck, this is Marvin Lewis era, when we had Perfect. Of course, he wasn't a perfect person by any means, but you come across the middle, you're going to be paying for it.
Yep.
Ray Lewis, come across the middle, you're going to pay for it. I mean, he knocked Ocho Cinco out. Now, granted, Ocho Cinco jumped back up, but, I mean, you need to have a defense to complement the offense that you have. And this year just did not cut it.
Not at all. I mean, disappointing overall season. I mean, the grades are reflecting that way. I mean, we're saying so D to D minus, B minus. Right now we're averaging somewhere in the C minus range. And Josh, where are you going to put us for special teams?
So with the special teams, might be the weirdest one because not only do I have kickoffs, punts, also have field goals, and it is the probably widest margin of every single section because you've got a 59-yarder, which is what tied the longest field goal in Bengals history. Even Zach Taylor didn't think he was going to make that kick. You saw in his eyes when he hit that. Oh, okay, cool. He kicked it. Cool. I didn't think it was going to happen. But the thing that raises it for everything is the punting. The punting was excellent most of the season. I mean, I'm going to have to give it a C, a solid C, because there were some good kicks from special teams. Punting was mostly excellent. There was that one kick return. I mean, I don't really have anything stand out in terms of nothing great happened, no real good consistency aside from punting. It was good. It was fine. C, I think, is kind of what you want. You don't want to rely on your punter. You don't want to rely on your field goal unit. You don't want to rely on running back kicks when you get them. You want your offense and defense to run the game, and special teams they're supposed to be there to help you. And I feel like that's what they did this season. They just kind of helped.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's a bad take there. And sticking with our C, so that moves us up from a C minus to a solid C. That brings us into the coaching and front office. So I'm going to give two different grades for this. The coaching right now, so Lou Anarumo got fired because the defense was abysmal. The defense cost us the season. So that drops the defensive portion of the coaching grade down to an F. If you got fired, you can't not get an F. That's just it right there. You lost your job, you're an F. Special teams, C. It has to be a C. Darren Simmons, he's a good special teams coach, but it's a coordinator. Yes, it's a coordinator, but at the same time, most of those are individual performances. You got to have a long snapper, you got to have a punter, you got to have a holder, you got to have a kicker. Everybody else you can train to play kick coverage. You can train to play kick return, punt, punt, all that same stuff. Except for those actual specialists, you can get anybody to learn how to do those. You just have to try it a few times. But when your punter has a good or bad year, your kicker has a good or bad year, that doesn't really reflect on the coach as much to me because what is he going to say? Kick better. Relax, man. Do your thing. Like it is or it isn't. It's like telling a closer in baseball. He's either going to be good or he's going to be bad. Like, what's the coach really going to tell him? Bend your back more. No crap. Anyways, this isn't baseball season yet. We're getting close, though. Getting close. So, yeah, C for the special teams grade on the coaching. And that brings us to the offense. And a lot of standout performances in the past few weeks talked about Burrow, Chase Brown, T. Higgins, great seasons. But the offense, Dan Pitcher, I'll give him a good grade. He'd get a B plus, A minus. But the reason that the offensive grade is going to be a B minus is because of the head coach. Zach Taylor had better game plans overall, but he has failed in situational football. And so the overall head coach grade would be a D, in my opinion, because he has failed in situational football, but we're on offense right now. But they made some bad calls. They couldn't score touchdowns when they needed to. They relied on an unreliable field goal kicker this year. But getting into the head coach discussion quickly here, Zach Taylor has not adapted. He can still make a culture. I'll give him credit. He saved that locker room. He got them back on track, got a nice winning streak at the end of the year. But how many press conferences do we count, 2 or 3 this season, where he came out and was like, oh, I didn't know T wasn't on the field. I didn't know Jamar wasn't on the field. I didn't realize it was only, this time was left in the game and should have taken a timeout. That is what a head coach does. So that's going to pull down the overall offensive grade and coaching grade and everything else to a D+. I feel like the overall coaching grade this year is D+, because if this was a better coach team, you would win more games. Case in point, the Steelers. Sorry, I hate to say that, but the Steelers, they did. They're a better coach team, and they won more games. That hurts because they're not a good team. But it is what
They're
it
not a good
is.
offense. They're not a good offense.
They're not a good offense, but I mean, Mike Tomlin has made Terrell Austin look like a good defensive coordinator. And we know Terrell Austin. He's not a good defensive coordinator. He got fired midseason. So when you have a good head coach, oh, God, it hurts saying that so much. It hurts.
Same guy that made Duck Hodges a winner.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, if you have a good head coach, that makes a whole world of difference. So, Zach Taylor, your seat is already extremely hot. So hopefully you figure out things to do better. And now to the other person should really be on a hot seat. That is Duke Tobin, the front office. Crap. Absolute crap. F. 100% F. If you disagree with me, I don't care. You've made a whole debacle out of the Jamar Chase situation. That you were the one who brought it up. We're looking to sign you this year. Front office, Duke Tobin, the Blackburns, Mike Brown, whoever else you want to include in there. You initiated conversations with Jamar Chase, and then you're the ones that screwed it up. Shame on you. You averted disaster with T. Higgins because he wants to play football. He could have held out too. Most people on a tag like that would, but T's just not that kind of guy. So you got really lucky there. Your free agents, Sheldon Rankins, bust. Geno Stone, bust. Von Bell, we love you for who you were back in the day, but bust. He sucked except for one play this year. Otherwise, he was not worth bringing back. And nobody else worth mentioning that they brought in free agency-wise, in my opinion. Your draft. Let's go. Let's go through it. Now we've had a whole season to look at it. Marius Mims, A-. Good for you. We didn't expect that one to be great, but I'll give him an A-. Chris Jenkins, C at best. I mean, he had flashes, but he also had times he was blocked 20 yards down the field. So I give him a C. McKinley Jackson, C+ to B-. He had a decent year. Oh, gosh. Other third-round pick, don't even want to talk about him because hopefully he's not with the team much longer. Jermaine Burton, F. Flat out F. That's going to destroy the rest of this draft. I don't even know if we should bother going through it, but Josh Newton, give him a solid C+. Oh, crap. Now I can't even remember. Shedrick Jackson, he had a couple flashes but didn't really do much. So, I think the jury's still out on the last few guys.
The tight end.
Oh, Eric All, yes. I will give Eric All a B+. You are correct. Sorry. B+ for Eric All. But everybody else, the last 4 picks, we haven't seen enough. We haven't seen enough to actually give them a grade. Matt Lee, I don't even think he saw the field last season. McLaughlin didn't see the field. Dijon Anthony, we're just not going to talk about him until he does something positive. We're not going to talk about it. Yeah, week 2, oh, it still hurts. And then
that wasn't a penalty. That let's just be honest. That wasn't a penalty. The Chiefs did the same thing. The Chiefs literally did the same thing the next 3 weeks in a row, and they still didn't get called. But it's not a penalty.
It was not a penalty. And then Shedrick Jackson, like I said, he had a few good plays, but not worth talking about. So the draft, I guess, could have been worse. It could have been worse. But Jermaine Burton is just going to taint that entire draft process. And the fact that even Amarius Mims, he was not a superstar for a first-round pick. He was a good performer. But you had no – did he really make a big difference when the rest of the line sucked? That's kind of what you have to think about. When the guard play was as bad as it was, yeah, you had a good tackle, but when the guy next to him is letting people run right by, it doesn't help out. So overall, the coaching staff, coaching staff gets a D, and the front office gets a big fat F. So looking at what's going to be coming the rest of the offseason, we're going to take a bit of a hiatus. And like I said a couple weeks ago or last week, Burns is going to be putting together a best looking at the different parts of the season. He's going to go for the first 8 games and the last 9 games, compile some of our hot takes, good segments, short, sweet, to the point, good stuff. And then we will be back right after the Super Bowl and bring you all kinds of wonderful things because we don't care about the postseason. If you were looking for us to talk about the playoffs, the wrong team's it's not in there. Our team is not there. So I could care less, or could not care less about the playoffs at this point. Does anybody want to put out a pick of who they want to win the playoffs?
The
Lions.
Lions.
Lions. That's what I was going to say.
Well, I'm an honorary Bucks fan, so I like Baker.
Okay, fine. So
Yeah, Baker. Ugh.
yeah, Bucks or Lions, I guess it's fine. Whatever. But we do have we have personal connection there, kind of with the Bucks because we played ball with a guy who works for the Bucks, so that's fine. But anyways, moving on into the rest of the offseason, we're going to have a lot of fantastic content. We're going to have some surprise guests coming on, some pretty good name guys that you guys have probably heard of. So stay tuned. Follow us on all of our awesome things. We're going to move into closing thoughts. Josh, what are your closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. Let's just pick the best defensive coordinator. That's all I care about. Whether it's Robert Saleh, anyone else, I don't care. You got to pick somebody who can look at the talent that you have on the team, come up with a game plan for the talent that you have, not for the talent that you want. That was Lou Anarumo's downfall. That's why this defense sucked. Look at who you have and figure out how to maximize it. And that's all I care about. That's why this team had such a hard time throughout this entire season. Just go forward, slate clean, new stuff, just be better going forward.
I like it. Nick, what you got?
I'm just saying that I just hope and pray that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase having the same agent this offseason means that maybe Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins are working something out with the Bengals to get everybody a nice little friendly deal, not only for themselves but for the team.
Yep.
And I hope that was some foreshadowing to keeping T, Jamar, and Joe all together.
Word up. Burnsy, plug it, and give us your thoughts.
I say it every week. Go follow us on whatever social media platform you like to use. We're out there. There's going to be content at any time, any place, any era. Talking _Bengals. My closing thoughts. Zach Taylor is not going to have anybody else to blame but himself in 2025.
Yep, absolutely. Well said. There's only going to be one other Zach that we're going to hold accountable, and that's Burnsy. Because if our content ratings ever go down, we're coming after you, Burns. But he's not the best CIO in the industry for nothing. Burns keeps their socials running in a fantastic way, keeps getting all those likes. So just be there, keep supporting us, keep supporting Burnsy. We're going to be coming to a website near you with more things being sold at some point, hopefully. Or could hear businesses. If you have one, we'll plug you on here. We are up for hire. I will put that out there right now. That's my closing thoughts as we continue in this offseason. If you have a business and you want to reach more people, man, we got a deal for you. Give us a call. Hit us up on our DMs or whatever else other people do now. I don't know. I'm not young. I don't get it. But
the clock's ticking.
Yeah, clock. It's what it is. There we go. Just let us know. We're here to help you. Buy our merch. Do awesome things. It's going to be a great 2025. I am cautiously optimistic. Yes, it's January, but I got a good feeling. Nick says I never have good feelings. I've got a good feeling about 2025. And I'll check in about that good feeling in the May time frame. We'll see where I'm at. Right, anyway,
I will check in with
Let's
you.
get through the draft.
What's that? The May
I will
time
check.
frame. We'll see then. Yeah.
I will check in with you, Casey, because I know for a fact that feeling is going to turn bad sometime around like mid to late April.
It probably – you know what? No. 2025 is a new year. I'm going to be optimistic until I can't be optimistic anymore. But we'll see. Anyways.
Will you be optimistic cautiously?
Yeah, that is who I am. I'm cautiously optimistic forever. Forever.
Oh my God.
We have just set a new record for the longest closing thoughts in Talking Bengals history. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Hooday.
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 Today.
Hey guys, I know it's a miserable time of year right now. Snow's been hanging out with us all January here in the greater Cincinnati area. But it's time to start thinking about what you want to do to get away from here or in the summertime. And for that, you should check out Pixie Travel. They got all your Disney information, whether it's parks, cruises, or experiences. Reach out to our guy, Tim Daniel, who's a travel agent with Pixie Travel, and he will get you all the exclusive deals, the best options for you and your family, and help you beat this winter cold. Reach out to Tim at timd@pixietravelco.com or at pixietravelco.com/teams/tim-d.
Thank you for listening to Talkin Bengals. Be sure to like and subscribe to Talkin Bengals on Facebook and Instagram at Talkin Bengals. You can also listen to Talkin Bengals on your preferred podcast provider. See you next time. Hooday!